preacher and the porn star with Preacher John and RAQUEL DEVINE, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am excited.
We are so thrilled to be here tonight with you for the very first time, our world premiere show. And we're just going to have a great time tonight, get to know you a little bit better. You're going to get to know us.
Exactly.
And we've got a great guest today, too.
We do. And kind of one of the main reasons we wanted our guest, Brian Fogg, to be calling in today is there's so many prejudgments. Prejudgments with who you think a porn star is, prejudgments who you think a preacher is. And our goal with this show is to dispel stereotypes, misconceptions, and I actually have a secret to tell Brian Fogg today. But interesting enough, Preacher John and I on the way down here, we were talking about neither one of us actually are potheads. Right?
Very little experience.
We have very little
And
experience.
I didn't really like it when I did try it. I will admit that I did not only try it, I inhaled.
Ooh.
And a total of 3 times that I can remember.
Wow.
And all before the age of 20. I was 19 the last time I tried something, and I didn't like it then.
See, I feel like it's the wrong product if you didn't like it.
Probably. Maybe that was it. But I haven't wanted to try it again because it was so wrong.
So now, if you were to become sick, would you, now that we've kind of been doing research, what would you do?
I think that it's a wonderful idea to look into and to research. We've already done a lot of research on it, but we're seeing so many great results. Little did I know how many people that I knew that I was in contact with on a regular basis that were using the medical grade cannabis, and how great results they were having. I was shocked to find out, and then here we are today doing this show. So
Exactly.
Very interested in talking with Brian today.
I know. Well, and even just with the post on Facebook, I kind of got the vibe that there's still a little bit of judgment out there about using cannabis. And I think there is so much important information to people to really dig in there. But we kind of wanted to interview each other during this show, and as well as talk to Brian at 7:15. But I have some questions I want to ask Preacher John, so you can kind of get to know him a little better.
Shoot.
How old were you when you made the decision to go to Bible college?
I was in high school, and I had a unique experience with God, and all of a sudden, we had been getting publications that were coming in the mail, monthly newsletters from a specific ministry, and I was just drawn to that. And
did you want to help people? Did you feel like you had a calling to serve?
Felt a calling to be an instrument of God, and to teach people about God, and to pray for people, and I saw myself preaching to large crowds, and that was all of a sudden, it wasn't, even at an 18-year-old age, it wasn't me wanting to elevate myself. It was feeling like there was definitely a call that was on my life, and I had a purpose. And that's what my purpose was. That's why I was here. And so I was, like I said, I was in high school. I was like 17, 18 years old. And then a couple years later, I actually did go to Bible school.
Okay, so you're 17, 18 years old, which is prime horny age for, a teenager.
Yes.
Let's be honest. Good-looking guy. You had all the girls going, oh.
No, just
yes,
a
you did,
few.
because you were like, we went to, for people that don't know, we went to high school together. I was a freshman, he was a senior, and he was sold as a slave at one of the pep rallies, and he had his shirt off in the 1982 yearbook, so anybody that has that yearbook knows what he looked like. And so, did you have all this pressure because I have to be celibate, I have to be.
It was
right?
It was a great challenge. It was trying to do all the right things to keep myself what I thought was pure,
right?
To be used by God, and because as I would read the scriptures, it kind of told me that I needed to be a certain way, and the preachers I was listening to.
But how do you do that as a horny 17-year-old?
I failed miserably very often.
Daily.
And so it was
Daily.
a lot of prayer and a lot of going to church.
Is
and
it like a
lot of
do-over
Bible-
button every day? Woo! Do-over.
Easily, yeah. 1 John 1:9. Some of you may know 1 John 1. If we confess our sin, that He is faithful and just to forgive us and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And I, as said very much in church circles, I use that as a dirty doormat. I would use that verse and wipe my dirty feet
Rinse
off
and repeat.
all the time.
Rinse and repeat. So, okay, so you're a horny 17-year-old. I'm going to go to Bible college. I want to get in front of people. I want to serve God. However, okay, were you watching porn?
I remember, yes, really liking porn a lot.
Okay, did you have a videotape or was it 8mm?
It probably, if I remember, there were the times when I would feel like I kind of lost the battle, and I would buy a magazine. That was the thing.
Would you consider a magazine porn?
When I would look at pornographic pictures in a magazine, yes, that was porn.
Okay, so let's pull it out. Did you think you were hardcore looking at Playboy, which showed no cooter, or was it something like Swank, where it was like OBGYN shot?
I kind of, in a way, I guess you could use the word graduated from, when I was here, you just reminded me, when I was like 8 or 9, my dad had a stack of Hustler and Playboy in his bedroom.
Oh, because that showed cooter shot.
It did,
right?
And Hustler did,
yeah.
And I was like 8 years old. I thought I found like the
Were you
hidden
grossed
treasure.
out? Or you were like, doing?
Everything was like all systems go. I was like, I found a treasure here. So
yeah.
I said, Dad, just keep that membership going. I just kept finding myself.
Now, if your dad knew you were looking at it, would he be embarrassed, or would he be like, all right, son, good job?
He probably would have thought it was normal and natural, but he never did that I know of.
Was it in the bathroom? Where did he keep it?
It was in his bedroom. It was stacked in his closet. Yeah.
Oh God!
I'd bring my cousin over. Hey, check this out, man. We would sit and look for hours.
Share.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were sharing.
I was giving.
Sure. Come over to my house. I used to look at the Sears catalog.
Well, that was
and the women in the bras.
Sure.
Oh,
yes.
And I thought, I want to look like that woman someday. And at the back of the Cosmo magazine, there was a cream you could buy to rub on your boobs. They said for $34.99.
I read those articles.
Yeah, and I'm like, all you have to do is rub cream on your boobs, and they're gonna go ding.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so when did you watch your first porno?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think probably I was in high school. And there was a gentleman, his first name was Jeff, and you'll know his last name, but I'll just give you his first initial is N, big football guy, right? Mm-hmm. And he decided to have a reel-to-reel.
Oh, a party, like a stag party.
It was at the high school, in one of the empty high school classrooms, when he decided to bring in a few guys, so it was probably like 10 of us, watching this really corny.
Right, with bad music, bad lighting.
Terrible. And I remember sitting there.
But it was great, right?
I kind of liked it, but I was so embarrassed. But we're all there for the same reason, to look at it, right? So I was so embarrassed, and so I really didn't really enjoy watching it. But
it's fun to watch retro porn now because the big bush,
no Brazilians at that time, right?
No. Nobody did any manscaping or scaping of any kind, but it was Bush City.
It was terrible.
But I heard
But
that.
yet at that time, it was like, wow, to see a woman, naked was like amazing.
But you're not really seeing her naked because she had a whole carpet thing going on.
Well, but it was
still,
better than nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
It was better than Sears catalog.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so did you feel like you were like, oh, I want to see another one, or was it kind of like, ooh?
No, it was wow. Yeah.
So now then you go to Bible college. Let's fast forward a little bit. You're in Bible college. Do they give you rules like, all right, guys, I know you're wanting to look at the flesh, but don't do it?
Well, we were taught in school that the spirit of man that's renewed in Christ that you're to feed the Spirit with the Word and in prayer, and then to kind of, it elevates you to have control over the flesh. The flesh being interests in, carnality
Lust.
and lust and that. And
Okay, no, but knowing what you know now, if you could talk to your
former self.
your Bible self,
My
your
Bible self.
Bible college self, what would you say to your Bible college
Great question. I would say,
Don't be so hard on yourself.
the
right?
Bible teaches so much about love and so much about grace, and that God is a forgiving God and He's a loving God, and He understands. He's touched with our infirmities. As Christ walked the earth, the Bible teaches that he was and always tempted like we are, and He knows what we go through. And in that process, He knew when the Old Testament was written and the Ten Commandments taught us the laws, but the Galatians says that the laws were to point us to Christ, which was to say, you're not going to be able to live these rigid rules. You need grace. And the only way we could receive grace was through Christ giving His life on the cross, which created the new covenant, the new promise, which opened up a new age of grace, which is unmerited favor. That's what grace means. So that no matter what you do, God loves you.
This whole shaming thing, whether you're shaming somebody for their sexuality or lust or cannabis treatments,
Yes.
the shaming thing, that is something that you wish you could go back in time.
Well,
and
the evolution that I've gone through over the years since I left Bible school, and I graduated from Bible school in '86, so I've been a long time out of school. I was in the ministry almost 20 years in pastoring and working with other churches full time, and so what I've evolved to, and I think is that the dispensation of grace is about love, and it's about no judgment. And the Bible teaches in the book of James that there's only one just judge, and His name is God, and I don't want His job. And He's the only one to be able to judge effectively, which means that our job is to do what Jesus said in the New Testament, which is to love God with everything you have and to love your neighbor as yourself. It doesn't say in there to judge. And the way we love is to reach out our hand and to be kind and to be giving and to be generous.
And unfortunately, too many certain religious types, and I'm not trying to point fingers,
No, I was one of them.
but you remember being that guy, right?
I felt the need to point out someone's sin and to...
And I'm better than you.
It was more about my goal was to please God. And I thought that if for some reason I may seem like I'm condoning someone's sin, that I wasn't pleasing God. So I had to say, hey, that's wrong. Because then if I didn't do that, God would not be pleased with me.
So do you feel there was a lot of hypocrisy in your Bible college? Because you had a lot of young, horny men going to college.
Well, I think a lot of us were struggling. And I think that even though I think the Bible school I went to was a wonderful school, and the principal founder of the school was known to teach about love and about giving. But I think that even though you're in that kind of a cocoon atmosphere, you still put things on yourself. You pick things up from different people, which, again, much of the history of the church is so much of judgment.
Right.
And the Bible teaches that judgment starts in the house of God. It's for the church to judge themselves, each person to judge themselves, but at the same time applying grace and love to ourselves.
Right.
That we're not going to be perfect. We're not meant to be perfect as far as our flesh until that other age comes in, which is the time that Christ is to return. I'm speaking from biblical terms and biblical belief systems. So, it really is about loving people.
Do you feel with your journey, you were born in 1963, so do you feel like you've come full circle with being at peace with who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I love my life. Very happy. I've got a beautiful wife who's watching us tonight.
Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Tanya. And I'm very happy.
Yes.
And it is a life that I can breathe easy, and I don't feel like I have to jump through any hoops to be a certain way to please. Because God, you can't do something to please Him. I mean, He wants you to be yourself. He wants to let his love flow through you. And that's how you allow God, and how you please him.
Right. And I think, with our culture, and we have this knee-jerk reaction to, and I know I'm guilty of it. As soon as we find out what somebody does for a living, we go, oh, they are in this little box, and this is exactly who they are. And I know, being in your religious background, when people find out that you're you were a minister, sure, or pastor, and you went to Bible college, people all of a sudden feel like they have to act different around you.
Even today, one of the things that I do is I officiate a lot of ceremonies today. And when I first show up to the wedding, they don't know who I am.
Right, because you don't look like...
No, I don't look like your normal minister.
No.
I kind of broke the mold a little bit, not your normal stereotype. And then when they find out after the service, they were hanging with me before, and hey, man, how you doing? What's going on? What are you doing here?
Do you want to go smoke out in the parking lot before?
And then after they're like,
oh,
it's the pastor, it's the minister.
Sorry about that F-bomb.
I always am like, just be yourself, man.
Here's our Brian. I like that.
Okay.
Brian, welcome. Can you hear us, Brian?
Well, hello.
How are
Brian.
you? We were just talking about stereotypes, and I was saying to Preacher John, like when he officiates weddings, how when people don't know who he is, they act one way around him, and then, when they meet him, and then he tells them, "Oh, I'm here to officiate the wedding," it's like, oh my God. But I'm so curious. Can you share your story with our audience about, what happened to you and how you got on the cannabis train?
Well, hey, the whole cannabis situation was trying to heal myself.
Because so your kidney started shutting down at 37.
After 5 years of that dialysis and getting a transplant finally.
Wow. So what was the catalyst that, you were taking all these pharmaceutical drugs and anti-rejection medicine, pain medicine? What was the catalyst that you were like, you know what, screw this, I'm going to seek this cannabis treatment? Who directed you down that path?
It was actually a physician in Washington State that knew people on dialysis wouldn't be able to do very well. They wouldn't eat. They wouldn't thrive very well.
Wow.
From the dialysis treatment, makes you sick and nauseous and not want to eat.
Right. How old are you, Brian?
What's that?
How old are you?
I just turned 50.
Oh, okay. You just turned 50. And how many years have you been on cannabis treatment? 5 years? Can you hear me, Brian?
We got a little bit of a delay.
Oh, is there a little bit of delay? Oh, okay.
Now.
How many years have you been on cannabis? Oh, do you have your radio on, Brian? If that was probably why the delay is, if you're listening to your radio. We got a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, I'm not listening to a radio. I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. Well, it's because you're high. No.
Get feedback though.
No. So Brian, do you feel like you have judgments against you because of cannabis? Are people scolding you like, "Oh, you big pothead"?
Yeah, until they saw the proof.
Well, I mean, honestly, Brian,
living with cannabis is a reality.
Right. I mean, when I first started looking at your Facebook, I thought you were a big pothead. But now I know your story, and I respect you a lot. You know what I mean? It's like a totally different thing. I mean, you think one thing about a person.
I mean, if it hadn't been for scientists, if it hadn't been for scientists in Israel doing research on mice and doing transplants and using THC to suppress the immune system, I would have never tried it on my own.
Wow.
They just said there was no human experiments available. So I said, well, I've had a transplant, and guess what? I like THC, so let's see what happens.
So how old were you?
2 years later, still living with the transplant and no anti-rejection med.
God,
Wow,
that's amazing.
fantastic. Yeah, that's great.
So, Brian, how old were you when you first tried pot? Ganja, marijuana, the big bong.
Yeah, it faded out a little bit, dude.
How old were you when you first started smoking?
When I started smoking, that would have been back in high school, about 14.
I know. I was thinking you were. So let's be honest. You were like stoner crowd, hanging out in the stoner crowd, the stoner section.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So now with who else? I know you mentioned on Facebook there was a friend of yours that had was it hepatitis C or B that was cured with using cannabis.
Was what?
Was it hepatitis C that you had a friend that was taking cannabis?
Yeah, THC and CBD. Yeah, there's over 400 components in the cannabis plant, and THC and CBD are two of the main ones that I need to require my kidney to keep functioning.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. But you also have a friend that is taking cannabis for their hepatitis treatment, right? We got a really bad delay, huh, Brian? Uh-oh. I think I lost you, Brian. Hello, thanks for calling. Can you hear me? Hello? Hi. Oh.
Oh, hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Hello.
Hi.
There's a caller. We have a caller. Are you calling in for a question for Raquel or Preacher John?
Yes.
What is your question?
Oh, I disconnected you. Sorry, because I don't know if I don't know. He might have been a little high. But anyway, if you have any relatives or friends that are currently under cannabis treatment, please do let us know. I'd be interested to know of other cases. I know I read about a little girl named Charlotte. They designed Charlotte's Web, which was a fascinating treatment for a little girl that had epilepsy, and now she's doing great. And we got this little guy back again. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Dubai. Hi, Raquel, and I want to say congratulations for the new show.
Something about the new show?
You-
Could you say that again, please?
Yeah. I said my name is Ali Fenner.
Oh, I don't know. We had a really bad connection. So anyway, if any of you have any success stories with cannabis, please do come and let us know some of your stories. I read about a lot of them on the internet, which were amazing. There was a guy that, treated himself for skin cancer, the little girl with epilepsy, and I know that a neurologist in Colorado was treating somebody with MS with great success. So it is exciting with all the treatments and whatnot. And Brian, sorry we had a bad connection, but congratulations on your kidney transplant and all your success on treating, your anti-rejection and pain and whatnot with your cannabis. I think it's awesome what you're doing. And, I know you gave me a referral to my doctor friend that's, suffering from bone pain. So thank you for all your advice. So anyway, we're going to go back to interviewing each other. And
Could we just take a moment? We got a few more minutes for this segment. Could we talk a little bit about there's concerns there's people are watching in, and they knew we were advertising about cannabis and marijuana, and there's concerns about it, and I would like to address some of those. Recently, I was just watching a news show last night, and it talked about a gentleman who walked in. This is Colorado. Walked into a cannabis candy shop, and he bought some candy in this cannabis shop, which had the probably cannabis oil or something in it, and he took home. And it says that the report said that he actually told his wife, first of all, he wanted her to shoot him, and then he pulled the gun on her and shot her, and 2 children were there, 2 boys were there, and they're left now orphans. And now he's going to go to court, and they're working on, I guess the plea is insanity. And so there's a lot of questions going on about Colorado, and looking at them as a test tube as to how this is all working in our society. And I saw 2 sides, and I thought they were interesting, and maybe we could discuss this. Recent government statistics show for Colorado that traffic-related deaths related to marijuana are up 32% since it became legalized. Children's deaths related to marijuana, from 2009 there were 2, 2014 16. Hospitalizations related to marijuana up to 38%. Interesting that these are taking place now that Colorado has legalized marijuana. Now, but there were some responses to these statistics. One was that, well, now there's better testing.
Right.
That the police have better mechanisms in which to test drivers that may be driving under the influence or have been in an accident. So then, is it really that marijuana is up? Or is it that they're able to test it better and to detect that they've been on something? Also, because of legalization, people are more open to admit. If I'm in the hospital and if it was illegal and I was smoking dope and I was there and I had an accident or something and fell, and they said, well, what was this? What were you doing? Were you drinking? Were you on drugs? And well, I wasn't doing any marijuana for certain, and they really were. But now it's because it's legal. They're going to talk about it. So, oh yeah, I was doing some some marijuana with my friends, and I was smoking some dope and what have you. So is that part of the reason why it seems to be hospitalization-related marijuana cases are up? So those are some kind of devil's advocate to both sides. Now, I know we've talked a little bit about this and how we feel about this, and that is that if it were legal, and people could, with the hallucinogenics, just do it at home. Stay out of the car. Just like drinking and driving, right?
Well, it's so funny because I remember I watched a movie from the early 1940s. It's called Double Indemnity. Barbara Stanwyck, Fred McMurray, and one of my favorite scenes in the movie is he's an insurance salesman, and he goes to a drive-thru, where the car hop comes out. He orders a beer.
Yeah. In
his car.
Yeah. And
so, see, that is an example of the early 1940s where it was perfectly okay to sit in your car and order a alcoholic, I ordered a big beer.
Right.
So, then we started getting the statistics on drunk driving. So then we get, the illegalization of driving with a 0.08, yada, yada. But the thing is, anything, in moderation. And it doesn't matter whether you're on opiates or your pharmaceuticals and whatnot, yes, you shouldn't be, using heavy equipment or driving a car.
Right.
And, I just think there has never been any major accidents with somebody that's baked.
Been high.
Yeah.
That we know.
That we know of.
Again, they're doing more testing in Colorado, so maybe
right.
their tools that they use to test are higher efficiency.
But I don't want to be on the freeway with somebody that's sleep deprived either.
That's a good point.
Because, Dateline did a whole show on testing people's reflexes and, how sharp they were, drunk or sleep deprived. Who do you think was the worst?
Well, you'd think it would be alcohol, but
it was sleep deprivation.
Crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I know, that accident that hurt Tracy Morgan, the comedian, It was a Walmart driver.
Wasn't it great to see him the other night?
Yes.
On Emmys? That was fantastic.
Yes, and I love his sense of humor, and I'm so happy he's doing better. But there is an example of a tragic accident that happened because somebody was working too many hours and too long. So to me, you have to use your common sense when you're in a car and using heavy equipment. And that's why I hate the anger towards cannabis use unjustly, because are there kids that are getting sick from it? Well, yeah, they're also getting sick from the Tide little pod that they shoved in their mouth.
And to those who are of the Christian community, there's a lot of people out there that, bless their hearts, they want to point fingers and they want to say that how awful that is and evil, and they put it all together, drugs and but there's a lot of good Christians that like a glass of wine, right? And there's a lot of people who claim to be Christians and they may not smoke marijuana or cannabis, but they spend a lot of time at the restaurant with pies and cakes and ice creams. And I know a lot of good Christian people that have diabetes and have heart conditions and high cholesterol because they are addicted to food.
Right.
And they may not pick a cigarette up. People used to ask me when I was in ministry, they say, well, does smoking send you to hell? And I would say, well, no, it just makes you smell like you've been there.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things that people do that don't necessarily condemn them, but it doesn't mean it's good for you either. And you can say marijuana is not good for you, sure. And you could say too much drinking is not good for you, sure. But too much bad food is not good for you either. So like you said a moment ago, balance is so important in our lives. And if they were to legalize cannabis here in our state, and whether we have 4 states now, I think that is it 2 or 4 states that are legal?
I thought it was Colorado and Washington, and then I know there's medical dispensaries here in California.
Okay, right,
so
right. And I've heard. I don't know if this is true. I won't say their name because I'm not certain, but a large chain. That is a large warehouse-style grocery shopping that there's been talk about them being a dispensary for cannabis. And of course, people who are ignorant, and that's not a bad word, just don't know, cannabis usually refers to the medical grade, which is the oils that they can use to add to food. But you can also, they have other grades that you could smoke. Of course, smoking, I'm not into that because that's going to be bad for your lungs and things, but so are cigarettes. But if you can use some oils that are medical grade that help your health, help you with pain management, what is wrong with that?
Right.
Is that going to affect me in a negative way? No, it's going to be great for the person. I'm just concerned about the recreational that wants to smoke and wants to go drive, and my grandkids or my kids are out driving and they get an accident.
Right.
That's just like alcohol, same thing. Like Vicodin, it says do not operate heavy machinery. I don't want that happening.
Exactly.
So that's my only beef. But as far as if they legalize it, as long as it's under control, that's great. And there needs to be more education, like there is with alcohol. Don't drink and drive.
Well, even pharmaceutical drugs, there is a regulation. I mean, it says take 2 with food every 6 hours or whatever. I mean, there is a system to using even your legal pharmaceutical pills.
Now, with that,
yes,
we get to talk about the most important person in this room. It's not me. It's Raquel DEVINE. And all of you have tuned in this evening to learn a little bit more about this wonderful person. I've known her for years and years. That doesn't mean she's still very young. I've known her for years and years. And we went to high school together, but I was a teacher and she was in elementary school. No, not really, but close. So we have some questions, and also which is really cool is some questions came on the social media.
Right.
We had a couple from Facebook, and I'll share this with you. Dana Jake Milliken asked this question, and she said, is it true when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life?
That is true, and Oprah said it very well. She said, find something you love to do and make money at it. And, never did I dream of this, sitting in high school, like, they have career day. Did I ever think about this? But honestly, I will say this has taught me until you walk in somebody's shoes, you really don't know. And until you really experience certain types of things, you can't judge it because you haven't experienced it. And so I will say it has made me more of an open-minded person on many levels. You know.
Great. And so let's talk about this. You asked me, posed the question to me, and I'll pose the same to you. That when people find out who you are or what you do, do they seem to lose their authentic self? First, they're acting very natural in front of you because they don't really know who you are, and then they find out you're in the adult industry. You've been a porn star for how long?
Since 97.
97, and you have an award.
I'm in the AVN Hall of Fame, and as well as I've been nominated for Best Actress in a Video.
So you have some recognition in the adult industry, which is amazing. But when they find out who you are, what is the general response
I would
that
say
you see?
it's I have to say it's kind of a gender judgmental thing. I would say most women, not all women, most women are judgmental about it, and most men are interested in it, which I'm sure most people wouldn't be shocked about that.
Right.
Sure. But I would say, your wife is probably one of the least judgmental people I've ever met.
Right.
And very immediately open arms, and no, I could feel like from the moment I met her, she could have cared less, what I did.
Yeah.
And,
Judgment.
no judgment. And my best girlfriend, no judgment. And I have a lot of friends that truly accept me because they know me. And I think, take the title away, and, I think they would understand. I'm not the character. I'm
separating the two.
Yes.
Who is? I know your real name, and we're chosen to use a kind of a stage name, so to speak. But you're not the same person.
Right.
You play a character. You play a role.
Right.
And as soon as that role is over and it's cut, you're back to who you really are. Your real person who you're born with. That person that I know.
Right.
That is this wonderful, loving, tender, kind, generous, giving, fun, talented, great sense of humor, wonderful person. And that's part of why we're doing this show. We want to break down the stereotypes. You may think a preacher is going to be very stuffy. He's going to be, or she is going to be very Bible thumping, and there's a lot like that. And so we're aware of that. But then you may think also that someone like a porn star is going to be, just kind of dingy and just has no talent except getting naked in front of a camera, which is not who this woman is. She's very talented, very much of an entrepreneur in many ways. And so we want to kind of break down those biases, not just among our own lives and what we do, but there's a lot of people out there that have their own story that have been judged, like today, Brian being on, and we want to kind of help people understand because this world is about love. It really is.
Right.
Caring for people, helping people, and reaching out to people. It's about including people, not excluding people, and that's what we want to do.
Well, and we're actually Thursday going to a taping of The Fab Life, and one of the things that impressed me the most about Tyra Banks, she became so vulnerable yesterday on air, sharing her struggles with IVF and the injections and the hormones and everything that goes through a woman's body, and she was emphatic about telling the audience, you don't know what somebody's going through before you judge. And these poor actresses that are ripped apart by the paparazzi, that they look too fat or they're bloated on the beach, that their face looks puffy, they must be doing cheek injections. And she scolded the audience for saying, you don't know what we're going through.
Sure.
And I do think that...
And that's what we all go through that at times.
Right.
We throw out judgments. And we have no idea
what somebody's going through
or who they are.
Right.
And that's why even scriptures say, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." I want to give someone mercy because when I need mercy, I want it.
Exactly.
If I've done something wrong, I want mercy. I don't want judgment. So therefore, I want to give mercy out and give love out, because when I'm in a hurt lock, I want someone to love me and care about me.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh, we have a caller.
Oh, we do. Okay.
We do have a caller. Hello, caller.
Hello. Hi, Raquel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Did you have
Yes, this is Ali. I'm calling you from Dubai.
Oh, Dubai.
Dubai?
Thank you for calling in.
Wow.
Hello, Dubai.
Hi,
Yes,
Hi,
thank
Dubai.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of yours. You are gorgeous. You are the most beautiful woman ever, really.
Oh.
And I'm very glad
sweet.
that you have a show that we can watch on the internet. You
Oh.
are like a goddess, really. And I want to say congratulations, and we wish you
You
the
are
best of luck for this show.
Oh, how
You are
nice.
so sweet.
And I was always tweet about the show, and you replied to me. So
Oh.
I just want to say hi, and I just want to show my support.
Thank you.
And you are amazing, really. You are amazing, and I had a crush on you for many years.
Oh, for 30 years. No. Well, so Ali, what do you do in Dubai?
Oh, is he gone?
Did we? We lost you.
Well, I work in Dubai in media field.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so
in
much.
Media,
You were so kind to call in. Thank
tell
you.
your friends about our show and have them watch us, and we'd love to have you call in again.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I just want to say good luck and thank you.
Thank you. That is very sweet. Thank
Well,
you
we
so
did-
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mwah.
We did say this was a world premiere. That's how.
And
we,
it- oh, wow,
look at
Dubai.
Dubai calling in. Awesome.
I
that's
didn't know
fantastic.
Ali was going to call in from
Thank you,
Dubai,
Ali.
but thank you, Ali. And also, I
Sure.
want to give a quick shout out to Andrew in London, because he's my sweetheart across the pond, and I know he said please give me a shout out. So,
Cool.
Andrew,
Hey,
hi,
Andrew.
sweetheart,
Way to go, man.
and Ali in Dubai.
Yeah. More questions for you. How did you get started in the adult industry? Everybody wants to know that.
I know, it's like I know. I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
I
what?
mean, let me guess. You were just working at McDonald's, and
I was discovered.
You were discovered by this wonderful porn director agent,
Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
Ron Jeremy was having a Big Mac, and he said, "Hey, little lady." I heard the whole, was it Lana Turner was discovered in a
It was
soda shop, but I heard that was a
in
lie.
Hollywood, yeah, it wasn't true.
It wasn't true, was it? It sounded good, and she was the sweater girl because she looked really good in a tight sweater. Honestly, I did family law for 4 years. I worked for 2 different high-profile family law attorneys in Riverside. I worked at Northrop. I did outside sales for corporate America. And I'm going to tell you, and I have said this in previous interviews, I was more sexually harassed in a normal job than my segue into the adult industry. And I will say this too, and I don't mean to knock down my fellow sisters and women, but women can be pretty nasty in the workplace. And I will say I took a lot of abuse in the workplace from fellow women, which I hear this a lot in the media today. Women will say, let's not tear each other down. Let's lift each other up. And I know there's too many women just out there ready to claw at each other. And that's how I felt in the normal workplace. When I segued into the adult industry, I saw an ad in the newspaper that said strip on the internet and make $5,000 a week. And I'm like, what? Because, I was barely making ends meet and really dealing in a volatile work environment with nasty coworkers, bosses, and whatnot. And I thought there's got to be something better. And, I know we've got to kind of wrap things up, but I want to say to everybody, I was never abused. I wasn't molested as a child. I don't do drugs. I have done all my scenes sober. There was nothing I did that I have any regret. I explored every facet of my sexuality. I feel good about it. And we are going to talk about this on a future show. Girls, any girl out there under age of 25, please do not get in the adult industry. And I say that as a cliffhanger to a future show, not because I ever regret, but because I have a lot of reasons why you shouldn't. And if you're under 18, don't take a picture of your cooter and your boobies and send it to your boyfriend because you think he loves you so much at that moment and he's going to share it with everybody. But we're going to talk about this and a lot of other things on future shows. Preacher John, who do we have next week?
We have a dear friend, Lauren Powers, who
Nice.
is a great person. She promotes bodybuilding and bikini and fitness and health all over Southern California and even, I believe, internationally.
Okay.
She's been on music videos. She's been on television programs.
Botched.
She was on Botched recently this
Plastic
year.
surgery show.
Yes, and she's just a real health enthusiast and been a bodybuilder herself and in bodybuilding and physique competitions, done wonderful, has a great experience. She's going to join us, and we just want to get ready for her to call, for you to call in, ask her questions about fitness and health, and maybe we'll find out some other things about her.
I know, because I think she has a few little surprises up her G-string,
I think that's so.
right?
Yes, not that I would know personally, but
But
I think that's so.
we do have some interesting
Great
things.
person. Great
Yes,
person.
really. I know you have told me what a sweetheart she is.
She is.
But I do, when we talk to Lauren, I do want to kind of touch on, some other things about why I don't want women to do naked video or pictures under the age of 25. We're going to kind of really go into that. But as to anybody 25 and older, hell yeah. I mean, as long as you're not hurting animals or children, why not?
Hey, we've said before, this is a no judgment zone. This is about acceptance, inclusion. It's about love.
Yeah.
And we're going to learn more about some of these issues and talk more about them in depth so you can kind of know where Preacher John's coming from. You can know where Raquel's coming from. But we really want your questions as well. You can
Yes.
reach us on, we're on 3 different social medias right now. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. If you do some searches for Preacher John or Raquel Divine, you will find us on any one of those 3.
And definitely, if you want to be a guest on our show, if there's any topics that you want us to discuss, definitely let us know. Tweet us, Facebook us, email us, whichever is easiest for you. You can also email us through the show. If you want to call in on a future show, it's 818-570-5085. And I'm sorry about tonight because I think we had a little bit of a bad connection. But Brian Fogg, thank you so much for
Brian.
taking the time to call us. And I'm sorry we had a bad connection, but I am, thankful that you're here and your transplant is going well.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
To learn more about us, too, you can look on our website, LA Talk Radio. You'll see there's a bio. When you click our picture, you'll learn a little bit more about Raquel Divine and Preacher John. That'll help you as well.
Exactly.
And we're looking forward to a lot of more shows and a lot of neat things to talk about with guests. We want to have a guest every segment.
Yes.
And that's going to be a lot of fun. And I thought we'll finish by asking you one more question, which
Yes.
is what I wanted to find out from you. I think the audience needs to know about this, and that is, if we have time for 2. One is define the word love.
Ooh, love to me, I'm going to go to dog love. Dog love is unconditional. I love my 3 little chihuahuas. And I think anybody that has been in love with a dog understands love. It's so unconditional and it's non-judgmental. That to me is the purest form of love. Whatever that dog love is, if you can get that, that's some good love.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. Unconditional.
It is unconditional.
And that's what the Bible teaches. The Bible, it gives us, in the Greek, it gives us like 3 different definitions. And the one you're talking about is agape or
Yes.
agapeo, which is an unconditional, committed love. And it is a love defined as the God kind of love, which means that you cannot change the mind of God when it comes to this kind of love. It says, I will love you no matter what. No matter what you do, no matter what you think, No matter what you say, you cannot change my love for you. It is unending. It is undying. It is continual. And that's what unconditional love is. That's why you would feel that with puppies, don't we? We feel that.
Well, and they lick you a lot. They're, but like right nice, like on the face,
Nice
not
licks.
creepy. And what was your other question?
One question more is what, and we may not have had a time for this, but what is one thing that people might be surprised about you if they knew, aside from you're in the adult industry? Is there something about you that people go, I'm surprised that she does that, or she has
I think
talent?
it's, that I'm just such a regular person. My neighbor that met me, she goes, I never would have thought, because you walk your dog, you're a homebody. You're just kind of like a normal woman. It just seems so weird that you're in this neighborhood. So I think that's what it is. That I'm so normal. I think that's what shocks people.
And that's, again, back to what we want to do. We want to be able to look at biases and things that people think, and they have no idea sometimes, really what the reality of it is.
Exactly.
And so we want to share things with you. Thank you for allowing us to come into your computer, or your phone, or your iPhone, or your smartphone, or we're glad that you're with us tonight. We sure had fun, and we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Yes, and with Lauren Powers.
Lauren Powers.
Awesome. And thank you, Brian Fogg, Preacher John.
Thank you, Brian. Miss Raquel.
Awesome.
All the best.
Hey, you guys, have a great night.
Till next week.
You're listening to Preacher and the Porn Star with Preacher John and Raquel DeVine, only on LA Talk Radio.